Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Marvel Plus, the podcast devoted solely to the Disney Plus Marvel series. My name is Brett Scott. I am your host, and this is the show. And today, I have an awesome guest. Kurt Schmidt doesn't have a podcast. He's not here to promote anything. He's not some big shot in the comic book or pop culture world. Kurt is a friend I made online a couple years ago through mutual appreciation for another podcast called the Uncanny X-Cast. So we're both big fans of that show and sort of discovered it around the same time, which kind of solidified a bond of sorts between us, right? Well, we've had some really interesting and thought-provoking conversations, exchanges online, and so I reached out to him because I thought he would be a great person to bring on and help me break down episode 8 of WandaVision. Kurt is a big fan of the MCU and comics in general, and I really enjoyed the conversation we had today. In fact, I think it's one of the best episodes I've put out. So, this is a great example of the fact that you don't need any special credentials to come nerd out on Marvel Plus. If you love the MCU, feel like you have something to add to the conversation, and can, string a few relevant words together, please reach out. And who knows, you could be the next guest co-host that I bring on. If that interests you, please email the show directly, marvelpluspodcast@gmail.com. I had a few people email me earlier this week who want to come on as guests, and I love it. I love the enthusiasm, and I love that people are enjoying what they hear. So much so that they want to come on and give their take as well. The more that I do this, the more I talk to different people, the more it becomes kind of an overall theme of this podcast. And I'll be honest, it's really the only thing that separates it from others, other podcasts like this that I've listened to. I think it's an awesome way to bring a ton of perspective to the show. It creates more of a community of listeners rather than just fans of a podcast. And people seem to really be enjoying it. So going forward, I think that's going to be a staple. I'll still do the occasional solo episode, but I think the goal is going to be to bring on new and interesting people to talk to, get their perspective on the series. And of course, bring back some of my favorites like Kurt, who will definitely be coming back on soon. I'll hopefully be talking to him again in the very near future. Okay. Enough talking about it. Let's get to doing the damn thing. Ladies and gentlemen, Kurt Schmidt. Kurt, thanks for coming on, man. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Brad. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so WandaVision, we're down to the wire now. We've got only one episode left. So what are you thinking so far? Just episode 1 through 8. Are you liking what you're seeing?
Yeah, I like is light on that. I love what I'm seeing. It's really good. It's kept me engaged the whole series. I don't really feel like there's been any lulls or anything. Mm-hmm. The nice 30-minute episodes kind of they help along with that, help keep the story moving along pretty good. With that, I can't see how they're gonna wrap it up in one last episode. It's got to be supersized episode, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look at all the different stories we've got going on here. You've got Agatha with Wanda. You've still got Vision out there running around with Darcy. And then you've got the Monica story, like what happened to her after they went into the house. Like so much stuff to bring together, and then what's going to happen with Hayward, what's going to happen there. So there's so much to bring together, and I don't know how they're going to do it if it's only a 40-minute episode or something. So I hope for that really long final episode. We thought we were going to get long episodes with the final 3. it was like fake news, I guess. But
Yeah,
I don't know how they could do it at this point without a supersized episode. A giant sized, if you will.
yeah, I like the giant size. That's a nice callback there. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's got to be a giant sized, I would think, hour-long episode. Um,
I
yeah,
sure
that'd
hope
be
so.
nice.
I hope.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you say we jump into the episode? Because this was a big one, man. A lot of stuff happened. We got a lot of answers.
Yes. Yeah,
All
a
right.
lot of answers, and I think just as many, for me, just as many questions.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the thing about it is like we got a lot of answers to the questions people were wondering about. But yeah, with every episode of this series, we're still left at the end like, wait, what about this and what about that? And like, we didn't get any continuation of the story this episode with Vision, Monica, Darcy. It was all just Agatha and Wanda this episode. So, um, all right, let's hop into it. So we start off with the Agatha Harkness backstory, which is something I was hoping we would get. The very next episode. I don't know how you don't go into that. So we go back to Salem, Massachusetts, 1693, but it's not the Salem witch trials. It's it's like a tribunal, right? Agatha is standing accused by her coven of using magic beyond her age and station. So using some sort of dark magic. She says she didn't break the rules. They bend to her power. Basically, she's found guilty, and all the witches blast her with this blue energy. But Agatha's purple energy proves stronger, overcomes the witches, and she kills them all, including, I guess, it's her mother. Um, Confused about that. I'm not sure because I think the head of a coven is also called a mother. So I don't know if that's actually her mother. I don't know about the source material, but anyway, kills her, takes her brooch, the one we've seen the whole time in every episode so far. What do you think? What do you think, Kurt, about this opening episode? A lot of info here.
Yeah, there was. I'm kind of up in the air about that. I'm not. I guess it sets up her power level, maybe her strength, how long she's been around. I
Hmm.
think it's okay. It wasn't too long, so that's great for me. Otherwise, like if it went on for a couple more minutes, I'd probably be complaining. But with the length, it was fine. I really didn't need. For me, I think I could have just accepted that she was a witch behind it all, or I could have just accepted who she was. I think maybe,
So,
but
so you'd have been cool without actually seeing the backstory, just having her say, I'm a witch and I've been around since forever.
I think so because it helped for me, like seeing that stuff now. Later on in the episode, we see how she suspects Wanda of being a witch, or she thinks Wanda's a witch, and the whole episode is, and actually, like the whole series up until this point, is Agatha trying to figure out how
Right.
how Wanda's doing all this, right? How Wanda became such a more powerful witch than I guess Agatha is, right?
Right.
Um, so like seeing that origin, it's like, and she calls her mother. Is that birth mother? Is that mother like I don't know, like a respectful mother? Is that mother
Right.
like like father, like the Catholic Church? Like I don't know what that mother term means in their thing, and then later on we get with Wanda. For me, it's like, is she born with the powers of being a witch? I don't know. I've never my experiences with witches and stuff come from Buffy and Sabrina, and I
Right.
think you're
Much different.
yeah, exactly. So that's my knowledge of witches, but I always just kind of thought like you practiced witchcraft, right? It wasn't necessarily something you were born with. I kind of just thought that you could just be a witch. You read a book, you cast the spells, you have a little bit stronger belief. Um,
Right. Right.
so
And
that
this
kind of
seems to be
throws.
set up. Yeah, it seems to be setting it up a little bit differently, almost like all these people these powers are thrust onto them. So yeah, let's kind of go through it and see what it is.
Yeah.
Back Agatha's basement, right? It's where we left off in episode 7. Wanda's trying to read Agatha's thoughts when Agatha's like, you can't do that. You can't read my thoughts. You've never been able to. And
Oh,
also,
I love what she says there. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I made a specific note though, because that was great. I love Agatha's delivery there. She says, "Oh, that's adorable. My thoughts were never available to you, Toots." That was
yeah.
Oh man, I love that part.
And she also informs her that her powers are useless in there because, she's looking around. She's like, this is basic witchcraft 101. I place these runes around the room. How do you not know this? Like, these are basic witch things. And yeah, I think it's crazy. So she's here and she's like, how is Wanda not know how to be a witch, but she's this powerful? And she's kind of blown away by it. And Wanda, well, she just kind of lost. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's cool. It's almost like Agatha she's part of the series, but then she's almost in the same boat as us, where she's just as confused to what's going on, right? She's looking for the same answers for similar answers that like we are. So that was pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, and another thing that on that same line, she makes fun of Wanda's accent. So that was a nice little that's kind of like an audience reference there too. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, there was this episode specifically, I think maybe more so than the rest of them. There was a lot of stuff that happened quickly. If you paid attention to what they were saying or what's going on, it was like they were quick with what they were saying. So there's a lot of stuff in the details. It was like an episode of Gilmore Girls or something. Like you got to be on your game. You got to be watching it.
Yeah, super fast paced. Like I think we're, like I said, kind of down to the wire here, and they need to like pump us with this information. Like it's definitely moving quickly. This episode was a little bit longer than all the episodes we've gotten before, and it contained, like you're saying, a lot more information. It's actually insane how much they packed into like about 40 minutes of actual, screen time.
Yeah,
but
they didn't like waste one sentence of dialogue. Was not, there was nothing that was wasted with this one.
Right. Yeah, I think that Gilmore Girls reference is perfect.
Thanks.
All right. So Agatha, she's in complete control here at this point, right? She's got, she's binding Wanda and kind of flinging her around the room at will. We get answers about Pietro, I think, basically that Wanda, anytime that Wanda was confused or having a difficult time throughout this series, it's been Agatha, right? We learned that last week. It's Agatha all along. But now we're actually getting specifically finding out that Pietro, he was basically a puppet for Agatha to kind of listen and hear through, right? Like listen and talk through. And it seems like maybe he's not the Fox X-Men Pietro like a lot of fans were hoping for. I don't know. They didn't say it specifically, but like, what do you think? I kind of think he's just a guy.
Yeah, I think that too. I think he's just a random guy. I love that she explains him away. Really, she says that she was talking for him. The body was on another continent full of holes. How could she bring him here? Right.
Right.
And if you remember back, it was probably the second episode with him in it, or his first full one. There's a point where he looks to Wanda and he says, "How are you doing all of it?"
Yeah.
And that was really interesting at the moment. But now knowing this, it really explains it. It's like, oh yeah, that's all along. Agatha's trying to figure this out. So that maybe at that moment, Agatha was like, well, maybe she'll tell her brother, her probably closest confidant or whatever. You would assume, maybe, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think she's trying things, and it's cool that now we get to go back and see it because in that moment, it was weird. When you were watching Pietro ask these questions, it was like he's acting a little too curious. Like he seems like,
Yeah.
a lot of people were suspecting that maybe he was someone else. But it's kind of cool that Agatha's basically using him as a puppet antenna. Just using him to ask the questions. But it is kind of crazy that, and Agatha references it that Wanda actually kind of bought into it. Like she was
Yeah.
curious at first, who is this guy? This is weird. But then she just bought right into it.
Yeah. Because at one point, Wanda asks Pietro something about her mom or whatever, and Pietro like classically just shrugs it off, like, "Oh, don't even do after all we've been through." Whatever he says, he just kind of shrugs the question off, and Wanda just accepts it.
Yeah.
Which
Yes.
Yeah, which I love both ways, because I think all along even with what we saw with Agatha all along, I still always thought that it was just Wanda just had some crazy breakdown.
Hmm.
Knowing what I know from the comics and everything, knowing a little bit more about her personality, I just thought this lady's crazy. She's just had a breakdown, and
Right.
I love that part of it, because I think, in that moment or whatever, she's just having a breakdown, and she doesn't know what. I mean, she sees the stuff from the very first episode. She sees holes in the logic of what's going on, and she just accepted it, like, okay, this is another thing. I guess, like, people accept that my husband's name is Vision. I
Right.
guess they'll accept this, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess I'll
Yeah, I
accept
think
this.
and I think it's cool we're kind of getting a mix of both, right? It's definitely Wanda controlling things, in terms of creating this reality and everything, but it's definitely Agatha who's throwing all the wrenches in the project.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we got Agatha. She keeps talking to a rabbit, right? Senor Scratchy. And she interacts with him quite a bit, like here and throughout the episode. Now, people speculate about this, okay? Because I guess it is from the comics. I'll be honest with you. I know nothing about this character, Nicholas Scratch, okay? But people are saying it's Agatha's son. But I'm not even going to pretend like I know the source material that well. I definitely don't. Um, what about you? Do you know about Nicholas Scratch? Could this be him or someone else?
I don't know anything about that. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
I'm not that
Great.
familiar with Agatha.
Great. You're in the same boat as me. I don't feel so stupid. So, all right. Yeah, I know nothing about him. But I've heard of people float other things, right? Like maybe this is someone, with the way she keeps talking to the rabbit. Um, Obviously, people won't shut up about Mephisto. I've even heard people float the idea that Doctor Strange has been transformed into this rabbit. I think it's flat out ridiculous. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. But it could definitely be someone else, right? It could be something where, I mean, she showed transmutation. She showed right there that she can turn things into stuff. So who
yeah.
knows? All right. So Agatha, she reveals that, she wasn't here from the beginning. She sensed this hex from far away, because of all the spells that were being cast at once. And then she came and started stirring things up, trying to figure out who the hell Wanda was and how the hell she did all this. This stuff that's far beyond what Agatha's capable of. It's insane to her. So she wants to know who this is, where she learned this magic, and Wanda seems genuinely confused. She, she doesn't know how she did everything, right? And let's see, Agatha, right before she takes her on this little trip through time, this little kind of wonderful life callback.
Yeah.
Um, she reminds her that the kids are in her bewitched basement, held captive. Now, fun
Yeah.
fact, I guess this house is actually the bewitched house, which I didn't notice until
Oh,
I heard someone else say it. But yeah, that set house is modeled exactly after the bewitched house. Pretty cool.
oh yeah, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, cool little extra Easter egg there. But um, so now we're doing the wonderful It's a Wonderful Life thing, right? A trip back through the moments in Wanda's life. And this first one that we get, finally we get the backstory. that we only heard about before, and we find out kind of the reason for the sitcom storyline, right?
Yeah, I love that. I think that I didn't read or I haven't seen many theories, but I would imagine that was probably the most common theory about why we got the series, how we got it, you know?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. I think people were saying that maybe she had grown up watching these reruns.
yeah, I love that. I thought that was really cool.
I thought it was really cool too that they threw in that one of the reasons they watched these things, like, well, I guess her dad was a DVD salesman or something, but one of the reasons that they watched and had this TV show night, right, was to help them with learning English. I thought that was pretty clever way to work it in. Like, why are they watching all these American TV shows?
Yeah, I like that. I thought that was pretty cool too.
So we've got literally there's a war going on outside as this family watches Dick Van Dyke, right? We get that bomb explosion that we know happens. We've heard about it, but this is the first time we actually see it, right? The bomb goes off. Her parents are gone, presumably dead. And this is where we get the little retcon, right? Because when we saw Age of Ultron, this bomb was a dud. It just never went off. But in this version of the story, we're finding out that Wanda actually willed it not to explode with some sort of probability hex. Which I think this retcon works fine. Like, it doesn't really feel like a retcon, right? Because we had never actually seen the story play out before it.
Yeah, and exactly. I think there's, I don't know. I almost feel like there's still a little bit of the mystery left there.
Hmm.
We think that it's the probability hex because that's what Agatha says, but
Yeah.
Wanda doesn't even realize it, right?
Yeah. She doesn't know any
So,
spells, you know?
yeah. So for me, uh, this adds to my confusion about the witch stuff, because
Hmm.
for me it's like, was she a witch at this point, or did she get her witch powers later on, that we'll see, from the stone, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
So that's the next scene, and during that, so next we head to a little later in life. She's at the Hydra compound, um, and she has this interesting encounter with the Tesseract, right, with the Mind Stone, and it was a weird scene. It was like it was drawn to her, and something happened, but no one else could see it happen. It was just her and the Mind Stone, right? And this is where I guess Agatha assumes for us that the Mind Stone enhanced her abilities. Like, she was already a witch as a young girl, already had some powers, but this Mind Stone only enhanced her abilities, the abilities she already had. Now, what you were saying was, yeah, it is confusing because this could be maybe the introduction to mutants, right? The first time we learn about mutants, because if she did have powers early on, are does that mean she was a mutant? Was she born that way? And are witches actually just mutants? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what makes it, this scene, I don't know. I feel a little bit dumb in this scene because I didn't understand it at all. I watched the episode twice,
Mhm.
but it's the stone, it changes colors, right? Um,
Yeah, well, it's off like the Tesseract, right? And it kind of breaks free from that, and you see the Mind Stone that was underneath it.
okay,
But yeah, I don't know.
did we see did that happen in the previous movies? I have a hard time keeping everything straight, to be honest with you. All the stones and all the different movies and stuff. But did we see that before with the Tesseract? Did that change when it like broke free?
Yeah,
Or
I don't know if we saw it like that. I think it's possible. It's possible when Vision was created, we saw it.
okay.
And then maybe it's also possible that when Thanos attained the stone,
Yeah.
that we saw that. But I'm not sure either. I honestly don't remember seeing it come out of the Tesseract like that before. But we could just
Yeah.
both be misremembering. Who knows?
so that so that's confusing for me. But then you go back and they show like the replay footage, and I guess that stuff with the stone only happened to like it only happened in Wanda's reality and not like what the guards were watching, I guess. Um,
Yeah,
that
weird.
kind of confuses me a little bit. But then also, it gives me no explanation for I'm going to call him Quicksilver because that's how I know him. I don't like saying Pietro. I struggle with that name. But her brother,
Sure, quick.
Quicksilver,
Yeah,
like where, did let's say that both are everything being equal, they both have powers. Let's say that their powers are both equally, she's an equal witch as he is an equal speedster.
mhm.
Did we just not see the scene where he interacted with the Tesseract as well? Or did he not
Yes,
need to? I mean, I don't know. This
yeah.
whole scene just adds more confusion to me, more questions than it does answers.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that because I had that written down. Uh, you know, where did if this is how Wanda got her powers, if she maybe already had some power leading in, and then it was enhanced when she encountered this Mind Stone, um, how did Pietro get powers? How was
Yeah,
Quicksilver created? Did he also have dormant powers like her as a kid? And if so, could be mutants. Maybe we're just
yeah,
not using the word yet. But that,
exactly. Now, yeah,
yeah.
because I don't like I I don't like the idea um of her stopping that bomb from the scene before with the probability hex or whatever it was.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
because for me, like that, I feel like that introduces like the stress level, like under stress, she was able to stop this. She didn't know what she was doing, but she was able to keep the bomb at bay, right? Well,
Hmm.
because she was born with some powers that she's not aware of or whatever, and they came out in a stressful moment. Well, if that's
Right.
the case, her brother wasn't equally stressed. Like her brother just didn't like he couldn't
Right.
run them away. She said that they're pinned underneath the car for 2 days. Like he didn't feel the
Mhm.
stressful moment to run them out of there or whatever. I don't know. That's like my problem with the previous scene, and then I guess my problem with this scene, where it kind of doesn't add up for me. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
that is something. Maybe I'm onto something with like her not being a witch proper. Maybe,
Mhm.
um, which I don't think she really is in the comics either, right? I think they call her the Scarlet Witch, but she's a mutant. Well, I don't know what her powers are now, like where her origin story stands now. But
There's so much retconning and
yeah,
boots of storylines and stuff like, is Magneto her dad? Is he not her dad? Like it
yeah,
definitely gets convoluted. But I don't know, hopefully with these stories that with the MCU they can keep it somewhat, where we can remember and be like, oh yeah, well this leads to this, leads to that.
uh,
Hopefully it doesn't get too convoluted.
I don't.
Um,
I'm having that problem already.
Yeah, I know. This is crazy. Like, I have the
Yeah.
exact same question about Quicksilver. Exact same question. Like, why? I want to see his little origin as well. Even if he's not an important character going forward, if he stays dead and we don't have him in the, I still want to know. I gotta know.
Yeah.
If Wanda got her powers this way or that way, how the hell did her brother get powers?
Yeah.
All right, plowing ahead here. Next, we travel to the Avengers compound, right? And then we're post Pietro death, right? He just died. And she's kind of grieving that loss. And kind of ironically, once again, we get the most human moments of the series from the android, right? Vision has these really nice human kind of touching moments. And he has this great line, right? What is grief if not love persevering? Like, what great writing here, right? Great
Oh
line.
man, I wrote that down too. I love that. Yeah. That was great.
Yeah, I kind of predicted from the beginning of the show, I think in one of the earlier Marvel Plus review episodes where I was like, I have a feeling by the end of this with the writers on this show, I'm going to become a Vision fan by the end of this thing. Like I went in not caring at all about Vision, or where his story was going, or if he stayed dead. But now I'm really interested in how his story plays out. How about you?
Oh yeah, me too. To be honest, like both the characters, I hearing the announcement of the show, I thought to myself, like, man, you couldn't have picked two characters I cared less about.
Yeah,
But
100%. Yes.
yeah, but watching it after the first few episodes, man, I fell in love with Vision. He's awesome. Yeah, really good character development with him and Wanda. It's yeah, it's been really good. And yeah, that line there, man, that summed it up. It was good. I talked about that Agatha line at the beginning. Those are two lines I'm gonna have with me for a little bit. I'll try to, I don't know how, but I'm gonna try to incorporate them into my daily talk somehow.
Yeah, yeah. Solid writing, man. I love that's the one thing I've always loved about the entire MCU. Like whoever they get to write the films, each one, or this series, or hopefully the next one, I'm just really impressed with their abilities. I really am. And Vision, as we were saying, like he completely surprised me. I care a lot more about Vision than I ever thought I would, and he just has these really heroic kind of. I love his uh, I don't know what you call it, like his resolve. I love he's like the true hero embodied, right? Like you remember that scene a couple episodes back where he's coming out of the hex, right? And he's like pulling himself through it and he's like being torn apart by coming out of the hex. And literally the only thing he cares about is saving the people inside. Like he's like, save the people. Like it,
Yeah,
man, yeah, I'm loving Vision now. It's crazy to me. I never thought that would happen.
yeah. I maybe it's just looking back, but there was with him in the movies, maybe I think it felt to me maybe more robotic.
Hmm.
Like he was more of a stale character, and maybe that's the way he was. I don't, it's been a while since I've watched him in the movies, but yeah, this series, he's yeah become much more a man, much more a human, I guess, humanized, right?
Yeah, I definitely think he's coming more into his own and kind of getting in touch with what it means to be a being, with feelings. It's
You,
really cool to watch.
maybe, and I'm just thinking of this right now talking to you, but I wonder if if his, I guess, WandaVision origin of him now plays into that, right? Because the vision that we know of before
Mm,
was a robot that Tony created, right?
yes.
But now this vision that we're watching is a creation of Wanda, and maybe this vision is what Wanda was able to see, right? Um, like much like say like your spouse, if
Mm,
an outsider has an opinion of you or your spouse, eh, whatever that is, that's just their what their view is of them. But you would have like you would see a completely different side of them, and maybe this is it. Like this is the person or the being, I guess, that she fell in love with. She saw this side of him, right? And this is what we're seeing.
yeah, I think you're right. It is like that. It is, everyone is someone different to, everyone is different to each person that they encounter. Like especially like someone you're close with. Like you see your kids differently than other people see your kids, and your wife sees you in a different light. I know mine does than other
Yeah,
people do. But yeah, that's interesting. I think this version of him now, maybe it is a little more humanized because, um, well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it because we get to
yeah,
that part later. So
yeah,
moving along, we got Agatha. Agatha finally brings Wanda's memories to the surface, right? Of creating the hex. We finally get to see the story behind that. What we thought we saw before on the sword security cameras way back in episode 4. It feels like forever ago, but obviously, yeah, it was just a couple episodes ago. But yeah, it's not what it looked like at all. We've got Hayward it feels like when Wanda goes to the Sword headquarters and she's wanting to see Vision's body, it definitely seems like Hayward is trying to manipulate her, like into either bringing Vision online or doing something crazy. Um, and some people might still be on the Hayward is a big bad bandwagon. I'm not necessarily saying that. I just think he wanted to make Vision into a, functioning weapon again. But he's definitely baiting her here, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't see him as I think he's just a stooge, like just your atypical government stooge or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think his whole goal is like we got to get this weapon running, right? And he'll do anything. He's definitely manipulating her though, like with the way
Yeah,
he's showing her the body.
yeah,
He kind of hints to her that she has the ability to bring him back to life. Like it's
yeah,
pretty neat. She doesn't even realize that. Like you can see at the time, he's like, you're the only person with the power to bring him back to life or back online, and she's kind of like, I can't do that, but she's realizing maybe she can. It's pretty cool. Um,
yeah,
it's neat. We get to see a different version. We thought we saw Wanda take the body early on in the series, but no, those cameras cut out. We never actually saw her take the body, and we get to see this scene. She can't bring him back to life. She touches his head. She says she doesn't feel him, and she leaves. She leaves. She gets in her car, and she sees something in the seat. Now this is where it gets confusing, right? Because there's this
yeah.
file folder in the car with directions, specific directions to a location in Westview, New Jersey, right? Um, who the hell did this? That's the question, right?
I was thinking that too. Like, I I thought there was nothing with her reaction that like I felt like led us to believe somebody just dropped it. It's almost like she went to Sword with that paper there. I felt
Hmm.
like she went with the paper there, hoping to get Vision and then like bring him to the house or something. Um, yeah, it was really strange. I didn't. She didn't look like she was questioning it. Like, oh, who dropped this here? She didn't even look at it, right? She
It
just
was weird. It did. It looked like she had this maybe all along. Like she left it in the car. That's all. No one dropped it there. But yeah, I didn't think about that before. Honestly, she doesn't react in a way that's like, who the hell? Like she doesn't grab it and
yeah,
then look around. Like what? Who did this? Um, so maybe I think maybe that was a little kind of a thing to make us think like, did someone leave this here? But maybe no one left it there. Maybe she had it. Maybe she got it earlier on. We didn't see it.
yeah. It was just a little. I don't know. That was a little strange to me. Another question for me.
You're right, yeah, because I was wondering, like, was it Hayward who did that? Is this more manipulation? Is she trying to get him to do something? Um,
Yeah,
does someone put it there knowing exactly what she would do with it? How could they know specifically that this crazy thing was going to happen, like where she's going to create this hex? There's no way, right? So I don't know. I think you're right, man. I think maybe she already had that folder. When I viewed it, I was thinking, who the hell put this there? But now that I'm thinking about it, she doesn't seem at all surprised that it's there. So,
that's. I thought exactly what you thought. Who put this there? But
mhm.
as she, like I was waiting for her to. She starts driving. Then I was waiting for like the scene where she opens it up and she's got like the questioning look in her face, like what's this? But that
Right.
scene never happened, and she just shows up to there and like it was nothing. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe somebody did it. Maybe somebody is manipulating her, like they gave it to her before or whatever, not knowing what she was capable of, but just knowing, like if we pushed her, if we nudged her a certain way, we could see what she is capable of, right?
Yeah. It's definitely suspicious, though, that it's a specific town with a
Yeah,
location. Like, uh, it didn't seem like she knew that town going in. Like when she was entering this town and looking around at the people there, it didn't seem like she was familiar with it already. So
yeah,
something is going on here. I just don't know. There's no way I can figure out what's going on.
yeah,
So
exactly.
Okay, so not only we get to see her create this hex, right? We not only get to see her create the hex in the sitcom world, but we also find out she completely created a brand new Vision. Like she wasn't puppeting around his dead body like we thought. Uh,
I'm
she,
happy to hear that. I'm happy to
I
see
am
that.
too. I am too. And then I know I don't feel so dumb because earlier on I had someone on that predicted that, and I
Yeah.
was that sounds horrible. I don't think Disney would do that, but
Yeah.
it's definitely it's a brand new Vision. Now that's extremely crazy because it seems way more complex than um, even creating a world where people are kind of puppeted around, but creating Vision, who is a complex machine, right? And it
Yeah.
seems like she really did create him fully, at least within this hex, because remember that Director Hayward is tracking his vibranium signature on his computer. Yeah, that was something they mentioned
Yeah.
here in the series.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right.
So that's full on Vision. Like that is a brand new Vision. The only thing that confuses me is, that stuff can't leave the hex that's created there. Um, Obviously, that's going to lead to a problem with the children because they didn't exist, I don't think, before she created them, right? They're in the same boat as Vision. Like they're not going to be able to leave this hex.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I think that's where we're going to end up. Yeah, I think we're going to end up seeing that come to a head in this next episode.
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of the final showdown is going to be a big. All right, so once again, we get we get Agatha talking to Wanda in the street, right? She's got the kids there now, held by the neck. Now she knows the full story. She knows, at least she kind of thinks she's figured out how Wanda did this, right? She gets to hear the full story. Um, she says Wanda's using chaos magic, whatever that is, and that's dangerous. She says someone this powerful is supposed to be a myth, and we kind of get a little bit of a hint that maybe Agatha's not so terrible, right? Like maybe she is trying to prevent something worse from happening. Which in the comics, she was kind of a gray character like that, I guess, right?
I I think so. I don't know a whole lot. My my experience with Agatha is just from one relatively current series. So I don't know a whole lot about her.
Okay, yeah. And honestly, I only know about her mannerisms and like character from other people talking about it now that WandaVision is out. Like that's so yeah, I don't know for a fact, but I
Yeah.
get the impression that she's sometimes good, sometimes bad. She's kind of an in-between character. Like sometimes she's Wanda's mentor. Sometimes she's actually working against her with someone nefarious. But I don't know. It feels like they're going that way in this series with it a little bit. I don't know. I don't know. You can't tell here. Is she maybe not all that bad? She trying to prevent Wanda from doing something much scarier than what she's already done here?
Yeah, yeah, I don't get the impression right now that she hasn't done anything for me to say that she's a bad guy, right?
Yeah, true. I think we're kind of being led to believe that she's the villain, but maybe they'll pull the old switcheroo, right? Because at the very end here, I mean, we've been calling her it for years, much like,
Yeah,
we always call Pietro Quicksilver, right? We've been calling Wanda this for years, and it's finally official in the MCU, right? Agatha calls her the Scarlet Witch. So awesome. Really
yeah,
cool
yeah.
reveal.
I'm really happy to see that now. Yeah, now it all makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I'm starting to kind of think that they might do that, like where she goes even further off the deep end and becomes sort of the villain. Maybe that Agatha will turn out to be more of a protagonist than antagonist, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think I I don't know. I don't know if that's probably the next logical step in our conversation here is what we're thinking is going to happen in the next episode.
Yeah. Well, let's see. The mid-credit scene will kind of gives us a little bit
Oh,
of
okay, yeah,
of more to think about. We get this white vision, right? They've brought him back online using Wanda's magic that I guess kind of she put a little hex on that drone, right, that they sent into town, and using that, they're able to power up this new version of Vision. And I'm guessing it has none of his personality traits. It's probably just a mindless automaton. But I don't know. What do you think of this white Vision?
I'm curious how they're going to tie back to the start of our conversation. I'm curious how they're going to tie this all up. Now you have a new Vision here. From my lifetime of watching and reading and being exposed to fiction stuff, I would my jump is to think that the Visions will take each other out. That's that's what I would think. But yeah, I don't know. It's a strange thing. I'm not quite sure where they're going to go with that.
Yeah, I think there's probably going to have to be. They're definitely setting up a showdown between like good Vision, bad Vision. But like you said, how the hell are they going to fit this in? This was the thing I was worried about throughout this series. Like, if they got all these plot lines going and all these characters having their kind of debut, how do they smash this all together in the final episode and make it come out to be anything? I think they're going to leave it on a pretty big cliffhanger. I think that the White Vision thing will probably play out. They'll probably finish that out, whatever that is. Like maybe a showdown between, Wanda's Vision, WandaVision, and
Yeah.
this new White Vision, and we'll see that play out fully. But I think maybe what's going on with Agatha, is there a bigger bad involved? Um, you know, is Wanda going to become more of a antagonist going forward? I think that's all going to be left up in the air. You know what I mean? Like a cliffhanger leading into the Spider-Man movie, the Doctor Strange movie. I think that's what we're going to be left with.
Yeah.
Because there's no way they can wrap it all up in the final episode. Even if it was an hour and a half, I don't see how they could completely wrap it up in a nice little bow.
No. Yeah, I don't see that either. That's my it kind of brings up like my biggest beef with the series is Rambo is what's her name?
Monica
Monica?
Rambeau.
Yeah. She's I hate like she's my biggest problem with the series because I don't know. I guess we'll see how the series ends. But as of now, like I don't think she really serves much of a point. I think you could pretty much take her out, like take her getting powered up. As far as the series is concerned, as of this moment, it's like I could do without her being powered up. Yet another person we're introduced to, another character. I feel like it kind of thins out the universe a little bit. But now it's another plot thread to be tied up either in this series or somewhere else. And then it opens up a lot more questions because she gets her power ups from entering and leaving the hex, right? So now all the sword agents that entered the hex, now they're going to have minor power ups, right? You would think because their DNA or whatever was got altered ever so slightly when they entered it, right?
Yeah, could be.
So yeah, I don't know. That's my biggest beef. Marvel's done nothing for me to make me think that they're not going to do a great job with whatever it is they have in mind.
Yeah, I have full confidence in their abilities. But same as you, it just seems like they've crammed a lot into this little 9 episode series. And yeah, maybe it was, maybe this was just, hey, let's introduce the character here. Maybe she's not going to be extremely important right away in this series. But I mean, likely she will be. I mean, they did devote an entire episode kind of to who she is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, man, kind of wrapping this thing up here. I'm gonna. I think I've been going with this the last few episodes where I asked the guest, what they think is going to happen going forward, and who we're likely to see. And I'll switch it up just a little bit here from the last few episodes because I don't want to get too repetitive. But of these three characters, who do you think we're likely to see? We've only got one episode left, right? It was a little easier for the previous guests to take a stab at this because we had so much ahead of us. But you've got one episode left. Are we going to see Doctor Strange?
I'd say so. I think that's even money. That's what I'd say. Like that's a safe bet. That we see him. There's a lot of magic, a lot of sorcery stuff. I think he fits in pretty well with what we're seeing here, and I think from what we've been told, this series ties directly with his upcoming movie, right? So I think we'll see. Him. Yeah, I think so. If I was I'd put money on that. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I tend to agree with that just because we already know kind of that this will connect, and then also it's just it also connects to the Spider-Man movie, and that'll be my next question. But I kind of feel like we're going to get some of that somewhere. We're going to get Doctor Strange either in the episode interacting, or maybe it'll just be a very final post-credit scene,
Yeah.
But so next question. Since this also connects to Spider-Man, and I think the Spider-Man movie might be coming before the Doctor Strange movie. What about Peter Parker? You think we might see Peter Parker show up? I don't likely, but what do you think?
I think Peter Parker's a long shot. I don't see him coming up. Yeah, I don't see that at all.
All right, and I in the last episode, I think I asked the guest about Magneto, but since we've kind of been introduced to her parents in this episode, and since the X-Men is still seems to be a ways off, right? I won't ask about him this time. But what about Reed Richards? We do have a Fantastic Four movie coming up. Any chance we're going to see Mr. Fantastic make an appearance in this final episode?
I'm glad you brought that up because I think so. I think that's you referenced in one of your earlier episodes how the Vision, whatever the actor's name is, how he said that there's a Mark Hamill like cameo coming up, right?
Yeah,
and it was with somebody that he always wanted to work with. That's the first or only time I ever heard that. I don't do a whole lot of research into this stuff. I'd like to just let it happen and try to be as surprised as I can be. So with hearing that, I think that it leads me to believe it's somebody that's not in the Marvel universe as of now. I think with knowing that they acquired the Fox franchise and stuff, that it's or the Fox licenses, whatever it is, that we would see Reed and or Sue Richards, not as Mr. or Mrs. Fantastic, but as their civilian names, right? And the thing that another thing with it is that Monica Rambeau's outfit, I thought, to me, it was reminiscent of the Fantastic Four suits, I think from Hickman's comic book run. When she tries to, like a few episodes back, she calls on this special person or whatever to get her in. And for me, it was kind of a letdown when it just turned out to be like another government person, like some random whatever.
Right.
And then she gets in this I don't know, like Batmobile tank and puts on a spacesuit. I don't know why she's got the spacesuit on.
Right.
But she's got all this stuff, and it was like really space heavy. And now she takes the suit off, and man, that undersuit, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it looks really, like, she's got like that round emblem in the chest. It really looks like there should be a 4 in that emblem. I think that again, like there's a few bets that I would make, like we're in Vegas right now. I put, like I probably steer clear of the Doctor Strange, because that I'm not going to get much money back on that, right?
Right.
Reed and Sue Richards, I'd put a few bucks on. I think that's not quite a long shot. I think that's I don't know where you put that, but yeah, I think that we're going to see that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what's funny is something I heard about that the cameo thing where Paul Bettany was talking about a big cameo coming. I heard people this week say that well, maybe he was talking about himself and it was just a big joke. It was like, oh, I've always wanted to act with this great actor my entire career, and now I get to he gets to act with another version of himself.
That's funny. Oh yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, be a pretty good joke, but I'd be a little pissed. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I
think we're going to see Jim from The Office, man. I'm going to make a bold statement. Jim from The Office will be Reed Richards. That
would be cool. Yeah, I've seen that. Floating around, and I think, the pictures I've seen look great, right? I mean, the mock-ups people have done of that look fantastic. So, man, how cool would that be to see that at the end of this series? That'd be awesome.
That'd be really cool. Can I know we're running long, I think, but could I make one more bold statement?
Absolutely.
I got to take advantage of this. I don't know if I'll have this chance again, but
go ahead.
I think Wanda goes like absolutely crazy, and that's how we get Deadpool. Deadpool shows up. I mentioned this to you before off the podcast, but Deadpool shows up and says, "What the fork?" And that's it.
That's perfect. That would be perfect, man. Like, of all the Fox characters, I don't care to keep any of them, but I'm really happy that we are going to get to keep, Wade Wilson and Ryan Reynolds in this universe. I think that having him be the person that they keep is one more funny little meta reference to this whole like referring to itself deal. Like, I think that keeping him, knowing that he always breaks the fourth wall and he's always talking to the audience, I think he's the perfect character to actually keep. I think it works like even more so than just like, oh, well, this is a cash cow. People love Ryan Reynolds as this character. Yeah. I think it makes too much sense to not keep him. I think that's awesome. Awesome theory, man. I hope you're right. I'd love to see Wanda be the reason that we get him. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, dude, this has been great. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I'll definitely look to have you back. Hopefully you want to come back and break down one of the other series going forward. But yeah, man, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks a lot, man. I had a lot of fun talking with you. This is great.
Awesome. Talk to you later, man.
All right, talk to you. Bye.
All right, ladies and gents, that is going to do it for this week. If you enjoyed what you heard, please favorite or follow the podcast to get all future episodes as soon as they drop. And if you'd like to help the podcast grow, reach a larger audience, the best thing you can do is tell your friends. Share the episodes on social media. Share it in groups, groups that allow you to do so. And last but not least, if you drop a 5-star review over on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, that goes a long way as well. As I said before, if you'd like to be a guest, or even if you don't want to be a guest, but you have some thoughts to share, something to add to the conversation, please email the show at marvelpluspodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RealBrettScott, and we can interact over there as well. As always, I recognize that there are a billion Marvel podcasts out there, so I genuinely appreciate you listening to this one. Next week is the big WandaVision finale, and I cannot wait. I really hope you'll join us again next Monday for the final breakdown and review. Until then, my name is Brett Scott, and this has been Marvel Plus.